We now return to the question of who was Charlie Kirk. For those of you who don't know or are just tuning in now, of course, Charlie Kirk was the fascist American activist who was shot and murdered a few days ago. Is it safe to call it a murder? Is it accurate to call it a murder at this stage? I mean, all we know at the moment is that a bullet was fired in the general direction of Charlie Kirk. It did strike him in the neck, and now, of course, he is dead. But I don't know that doesn't mean that it's a little bit premature to call it a murder at this stage. But hey ho, I always stand to be corrected. Billy's calling from Cornwall. Billy, who was Charlie Kirk?
Hi James. Charlie Kirk was a disgusting, vile pig. He was a misogynist, and I hated everything he stood for, and I hated him.
Oh, well, thank you for that, Billy. That was an extremely impassioned and articulately stated point that I do hope will shed at least a little bit of light for my listeners on who Charlie Kirk actually was. So thank you for that, Billy. Emma's calling from Southend. What would you like to say?
Hello James. Can I just say he was a friend of Donald Trump's. He was a fascist. The man was a complete fascist.
It's an interesting point that you raised there, Emma, because I think a lot of people may not be aware, and I plead guilty that I probably should have done a little bit more research myself on who Charlie Kirk was. But what people don't realise that, of course, he was a close friend, he was a close confidant, he was an associate, he was a fundraiser, he was a flipping admirer of Donald Trump, and therefore he was, by extension, a self-proclaimed fascist. That's just an incontrovertible fact. That's not an opinion. That's just counting. But I don't know whether that sufficiently answers the question of who Charlie Kirk was. Perhaps Simon calling from Norwich knows. Simon, what would you like to say?
Hello, James. Charlie Kirk was a misogynist, fascist, racist, all wrapped in one. How could anybody follow him? He was disgusting.
I mean, this is another one of life's conundrums, isn't it, Simon? I mean, I've often wondered how individuals like Charlie Kirk with such scum views managed to rise to the top and influence, convince an entire population of other scumbags that they should subscribe to his rotten views. How do they do that? They seem to have an almost an X factor, a magic, an almost je ne sais quoi. That enables them to kind of poison the mind of individuals. I find it genuinely discombobulating. I'm genuinely perplexed. I don't understand. Perhaps I never will. Perhaps Edward, calling from Barnsley, can explain it. Edward, what would you like to say?
Hi James, I think your calls have been a bit unfair. There was another side to Charlie.
Sorry, Edward, I'm going to have to cut you off. I think my producers have made the mistake of thinking that this was a temporary lapse in thinking that this was a programme for scumbags like you. 7 minutes after 11:15 is the time. Amelia Cox is here with your headlines.